Welcome to Week 6 of the Triangle Lax Top 10 presented to you by Crank Shooter. Week 6 was a partial rainout with Friday games mostly being canceled, but we were able to get quite a few games in and some changes to our top 10s. Without further ado, let's jump into this week's top 10. Starting with the girls, at number 10, we have Chapel Hill. The Tigers returned to the top 10 for the first time since week 1 after they defeated Cardinal, but had their first tilt with East Chapel Hill rained out. At number 9, is Cary Academy. The Chargers dropped one spot to number 9 after losing to Ravenscroft 12-3. This week they will play Forsyth Country Day and St. David's. At number 8 is Holly Springs. Holly Springs moves up a spot after 3 wins in Week 6. They outscored their opponents by a total score of 50-2. This week, the Hawks will face off against Apex Friendship, Sanford, and Cape Fear. At number 7 is Broughton. Broughton holds on to the number 7 spot for the third week in a row. The Capitals beat Heritage before being rained out of Enloe. Week 7 brings tilts against Leesville and Cardinal Gibbons and an opportunity to solidify its role as the number 2 or potentially take over as the number 1 team in the Cap 7 conference. At number 6 is Durham Academy. Durham Academy lost to Charlotte Country Day last Thursday in a thrilling 17-15 game. This week, the Cavs will face St. Mary's and rival Ravenscroft. At number 5 is Apex. The Cougars won games against Terry Sanford and crosstown rival Apex Friendship in Week 6. Up next are games against Garner and Fuquay Varina. At 4 is Middle Creek. The Mustangs stayed perfect in conference with wins over Apex Friendship and Cape Fear in Week 6. 2 more conference games are on tap against Fuquay and Garner for Week 7. At number 3 is East Chapel Hill. East went 2-0 in Week 6, beating Northwood and Pinecrest. This week brings matchups against Wakefield, Heritage, and Carborough. At number 2 is Ravenscroft. The Ravens defeated Wakefield and then number 8 Cary Academy in Week 6. This week brings matchups against Cape Fear Academy and number 6 Durham Academy. And holding on to the number 1 spot is Cardinal Gibbons. Gibbons got a pair of wins against Sanderson in Week 6. Week 7 sees 3 games, conference opponents Millbrook and number 7 Broughton, and a Saturday tilt with powerhouse Charlotte Catholic. One that's sure to be a great game as these two have faced off in several of the last few state champions. This is sure to be a great game as the two have faced off multiple times in the state championship matchup. Before we move on to the boys' top 10, let's take a moment and hear about our sponsors, Crank Shooter. Now on to the boys' countdown. Week 6 brought some big gains that have changed the top 10. Starting at number 10, we have Ravenscroft. The Ravens dropped the first round of its rivalry game against Durham Academy 10-9 last week. Week 7 has the Ravenscroft playing Cape Fear Academy. At number 9 is Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill continued its great start to 2019 and swept the week against Carborough, Southern Alamance, and Riverside. This week, the Tigers have a 3-game week against Sanderson, Williams, and maybe their first real test of 2019 against crosstown rival East Chapel Hill on Friday. At number 8 is Heritage. The Huskies defeated Wake Forest but were washed out against Corinth Holders. This week, Heritage is slated to rematch against Wakefield. At number 7 is Leesville. Leesville defeated both Sanderson and Millbrook in Week 6. Up next for the Pride is Broughton and Southeast Raleigh, an opportunity to climb Cap 7 rankings. At number 6 is East Chapel Hill. East defeated Carrboro before having its game against Holly Springs rained out. This week, the Wildcats will try and get the Holly Springs game in and square off for the King of Chapel Hill on Friday against Chapel Hill. At number 5 is Broughton. The Capitals defeated Southeast before being washed out against Enloe on Friday. This week, the Capitals will face Leesville and Cardinal Gibbons and attempt to solidify its number 2 spot in the Cap 7 and attempt to make a tie for first place with a win over Cardinal Gibbons. At number 4 is Apex. The Cougars hold on to the number 4 spot after sweeping crosstown rival Apex Friendship for the 2019 season and shutting out South Carolina's Oceanside Collegiate. This week, Apex plays Garner and Cape Fear Academy with an opportunity to solidify its number 2 spot in the SWAC. At number 3 is Wakefield. Wakefield had easy wins against Wake Forest in Week 6, but Week 7 will be a lot different as it plays Heritage, Corinth Holders, and Pennsylvania's Westchester East. A great opportunity for the Wolverines to solidify its number 1 spot come playoff time for the NAC Conference. At number 2 is Cardinal Gibbons. Cardinal Gibbons split the week with a win against Sanderson and a 1-goal loss to Virginia's St. Christopher's. In Week 7, Gibbons will try to solidify its Cap 7 championship with games against Millbrook and Broughton. Holding on to the number 1 spot are the Mustangs of Middle Creek. Even though the Mustangs dropped their second game of the season to 2-time defending small school champion Weddington 10-8 in the Champions Challenge. This week, Middle Creek looks to stay undefeated in SWAC play with games against Fuquay, Varina, and Garner. That wraps up our Week 6 Top 10 for the Triangle. As the season winds down, we'll have our eye on the NCHSAA website to make sure that we have an understanding of how this year's playoff brackets will line up. Once we know what those brackets are, we will create a page for fans to be able to keep up with the shifting bracket as games unfold in the last couple weeks. The crunch time is here as teams continue to make these pushes for spots in their conference and a playoff run. Good luck to everyone in the rest of this season, and we'll see you next week.